And this is why people get so caught up in their head and feel like they're in the box. Because somewhere along their journey, when they're a child, they are told they are too much. Don't do that. It makes them feel bad. So they are immediately imprinted with that story or that narrative. And that's why they're so resistant towards expressing themselves. Because when they're born so pure. And the reason why kids are constantly moving, even before they can form sentences, because that is the way their body communicates.
Yes.
They can't form words yet to express through their throat, so they express it by moving their body. They make weird noises like because they need to release that energy somehow. And then it stops because they're told they can't do that. That's the box.
Hello, and welcome back to Journey of a Fearless Female. I'm your host, Paola Rosser, and this week my guests are the founders of Rhythmic Metamorphosis, Eva and Lisa. They are intuitive healers and DJs using electronic music as a form of sound healing in conjunction with a spiritual practice they created from raving. Everybody, please welcome Lisa and Eva. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hello. How are you today?
I am doing great. I'm so excited to have you guys on because I personally love dancing. I love music. And I was once to one of those big ravers that wanted to wear all the jewelry and all the stuff and go dancing. And so when your guys' TikTok came up, I remember seeing it and I was like, I need to have them on the podcast. How did this whole journey start? Like, where did it begin for you guys?
Well, on the dance floor.
Yeah. Yeah, on the dance floor, for sure, on the dance floor. We both had separate experiences because we've only known each other for, it feels like forever, but it's only been a year.
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 2 years. 2 years. Yep.
So it's a new friendship.
Like a new sisterhood, not just
Yeah.
a friend. So I can start with my story. It starts a little bit before Lisa's, and then Lisa can tell hers, and then we can tell ours together.
Perfect. Let's do that.
Great. So I'm a 90s raver, and so I started going to raves in the 90s. I started DJing in 2006, and I started practicing yoga in 1998. I had to look it up because someone asked me that, and I started yoga because of Madonna.
Okay.
Yeah, late 90s, Madonna started she went famous for her practice, and that was the first time that I had become interested in it, and that started my journey. So I had a deep practice since 98, and I had to leave a really bad marriage in 2017. Got married really young. It was not healthy. My practice and music helped me stay afloat during it, but it was the hardest thing that I ever had to do. And when I left in 2017, this moon, man. It's been a lot with all these eclipses and energy. But so when I left in 2017, I started teacher training for yoga. It was something that I had wanted to do a really long time, and I just dove into my healing journey. And I found myself on the mat every single day, and I was also on the dance floor every weekend. And in the beginning, it started off like a escape because I just didn't want to feel the pain anymore. And I was doing everything not to do it. In the beginning, it was everything not to feel the pain, but I also knew it wasn't I just wanted to escape it for now. I wanted to find a way through it so I never felt like this again.
Yeah.
And while I was in my teacher training, I knew I wanted to use music in a way that I hadn't found yet. So I searched everywhere for studios they were using music but I found only like music being used in like a very gym-like setting,
Yeah.
or music, like just traditional sound healing, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided I was going to need to make something. And that's what I did while I was in Chicago. So I finished up my 500-hour teacher training. I started building classes around sound. So I would have classes that incorporated cacao, and I would DJ like a set beforehand, and then I would teach my class around that set.
Mm-hmm.
And COVID happened, and I went through another kind of pretty bad breakup, which was transformational, and I moved to Denver. And I started teaching at the same studio as Lisa. And Lisa and she came to my very first yoga class and that I was teaching, that where we teach. And the next day we had lunch, and then that was the beginning of co-creation.
Oh, I love how that works where, you know, everything happens for a reason. I really believe in that. And so like everything was moving you to meeting Lisa. And, you know, I love that you were saying like, I just didn't want to feel the feelings and I wanted to just dance and do the yoga. When my father passed away, I think it's when we don't know how to regulate our nervous system, we don't know what to do. And so like I had never experienced that much grief and pain. And it was like, it's like running through you, coursing through your body. And it's like, you want to move, but you're so depressed that you can't move, but you know that you have to move. And so I remember forcing myself to go for a run because like and that's funny. I was watching like Forrest Gump and it was like, and then I just ran you know, and then it's just like, I need to get it out. Like there was just like, you need to, this energy that is within your body, the state of grief, the state of pain, the state of sadness. It's like, you need to remove it from your body. And I remember I started running 1 mile, then 2 miles. I got up to 9 miles a day because I just needed to remove that feeling. But I also love that you talked about like how dancing can also do the same thing. I remember I used to go to Vegas a lot because I live in Southern California. So it was only a 4-hour drive. And I remember one time I was at this, you know, pool party and I'm just dancing and feeling the music and having a great time. And some guy comes up to me and he's like, "What are you on?" And I'm like, "Water." Because I was just like drinking water. I didn't want to do drugs. I just wanted to like release it. You know what I mean? And it's just such an incredible idea that you guys co-created. So let's start from that, like how you guys came into that idea. But let's talk about Lisa's story and how Lisa came up to meeting you.
Yeah. First, I want to say that it wasn't just water, it was your own source of ecstasy. You were
Ah, yes, absolutely.
9, feeling that wave of euphoria wash over you. That was
Yes. And it's seriously, even when I talk about it and I think back to that moment, I still feel it in my body, that wave of joy and happiness. And that you don't need drugs, you don't need alcohol, you know, you just need to get in tune with yourself and your body and like everything. So I still am me and myself. I'm like, when I saw you guys, I'm like, I know that feeling. I know what they're doing. And so that's why I was like, I need to have them on the show. Okay. So how did your journey begin, Lisa?
So I went to my first rave in 2014, right after high school. I wasn't even 21 yet. And I had a similar experience where I was sober. Actually, I lied. I got really drunk beforehand, but
Okay.
got there so early. Like I got there like 2 hours before the doors even opened. So like by the time the doors open, I got in and like the music started, like I was sober.
Yeah, by that time.
I loved dancing. I was dancing my heart out, and someone actually did ask me like, "What are you on?" I was like, "I'm sober and I'm on the rail and I feel the bass vibrating through my body." And after that, it was like I was always raving every single weekend. I did have like I was using it as an escape. I was drinking a lot. I was doing all the extracurriculars, but the music and what I found on the dance floor wasn't fake, wasn't something that like I needed something to feel, but it took me some years to realize that. Fast forward, I was in college at the time. I dropped out of school about 3 years in and moved out to Colorado. And pursued yoga teaching. And here in Denver, the music scene was really great. And I was out raving all the time, diving into my spiritual journey. And after my 200-hour, I got my 300-hour yoga teacher training. And I knew I wanted to hold space for people.
Mm-hmm.
Really catalyzed my healing journey. I knew I was going to be of service. And coming from a background of dancing, I was weaving in some form of dance and self-expression into my yoga classes. On top of that, music as well. So I started doing yoga with a live DJ. We called it Deep House Yoga. There is actually something called Deep House Yoga. It's really big, but I started doing my own version of a live DJ playing and me guiding yoga, weaving in some dance. And the DJs that I partnered with were all really great, but I just knew that wasn't it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, is it the type of movement? Is it the type of music? So I just kept trying things on, collaborating with other people. I then took a Buddha yoga training, which is a fusion of dance and yoga. And that's what really started getting me more in tap with like dance.
Yeah.
Tapping back into that, to the passion I have for dance and taking those movements a little further. And after that, I started playing with trying to build my own practices around dance, and they weren't really yoga anymore. It was more of a form of embodiment, dance, and self-expression with a live DJ. I called it embodied dance flow. I also incorporate the element of cacao for opening the heart. Started doing that a lot, and then crossed paths with Eva, and she was on a similar journey. And I really loved the music that she was playing in her class. It was like, hey, I actually have this event. Would you like to DJ? It's all women. It's a new moon circle. And she played, and we had nothing planned. I didn't know any of the music that she was going to play, because usually the DJs I partnered with, I'd send them some tracks and I had an idea of what they were playing.
Yeah.
Everything she played, all the movements, all the breath that I think were just like, it just felt so aligned, so harmonious. I was like, this is it. This is it. And from there, we did every single thing together. A couple months later, we were living together, and it would be like 7 a.m. She's like, Lisa, I have this idea. I was like, I have this idea. And it would be really similar. So we knew everything was in alignment.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah. During that time, I was just getting out of a relationship as well. So I shifted from going to the dance floor as an escape to going to the dance floor as a form of embodiment after all the embodiment work I was doing with dance. And that's really what healed me, was going to the rave every single weekend that I could to process the grief, the shock, the depression, the anxiety from a 6-year relationship.
Yeah. It's so many, I love that, like, this is a form of healing, and I think people think like, oh, when you're going through your spiritual journey or your healing journey, that you have to go through therapy, you have to do this, you have to do that. There's so many different healing modalities, and every person needs to find the one that fits them and that makes them feel like this is what's helping me, because I know, for example, my sister didn't get up and run after my father passed away. She picked up the bottle. It was like her way of escape was to drink and drink and drink. And it's like, everybody has a different way of like trying to figure out these emotions that are running and coursing through your body during a state of grief and shock and like loss and depression. And it's like, I love that dancing is an amazing way of healing, and the way you guys are incorporating music, because yes, sound bowl healing is amazing. It's beautiful, but like to be able to like really embody the sound and the frequency and to feel it course through your entire body. And that's the thing. People don't understand how powerful frequency music truly is. Can you guys speak on that, and like how you guys discovered how low vibrating sounds versus high vibrating sounds and the difference between the two?
Yeah. Being a DJ since 2006, we have listened to so much music for so long. And then when I started applying it to my practice, I was coming from a sound healing and a yoga teacher place, which is a totally different place. It's me understanding my body, me understanding how sound works in my body, understanding how sound healing works, and then understanding how to DJ. So there's all these elements that came together for the understanding of it. And the more and more, I mean, in the beginning, it was very intuitive, because just like Lisa said, for the first time that we worked together, or I played for her, that was intuitive. And she was like, she felt it in her body, how it lined up so perfectly. So when we started working together, it became more of a question of taking it from being intuitive and turning it into a formula.
Mm-hmm.
And I come from a background of techno, and from that's like where my heart lives. like it like literally does. And I noticed that there was differences when I would go to shows for different types of music.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the most healing when I went to any kind of techno shows that were more melodic. And I started asking myself, why? Why are there certain types, like certain genres, and what are the certain genres that resonate in my body more? And those questions led me to understanding how frequency works and how to apply it and how to use it to move energy through your body.
Oh, beautiful. So how would you incorporate, like when you're talking to people about selecting the music that they should be listening to during, because I always tell my clients, like, if you're going through a breakup, the last thing you need to do is listen to a sad playlist, because that's just going to keep you sad. Like I always tell them you can't help, but especially for me, like when you hear a certain song, you can't like just sit and not shake your butt. Right? You can't just like, the music is literally calling you to move. And I always tell people, sometimes you feel so awkward because you're so worried. You're still in your mind about like, what are people going to say? What are people going to look at me like? And when I used to go dancing all the time, people were like, man, you're such a good dancer. How did you become a good dancer? I was like, I didn't. I just am confidently standing in my own power. Nobody cares. And especially in Vegas, I would be like, I'm never going to see these people ever again. So I'm just going to move my body like however I feel like moving my body. But I think a lot of people get so stuck in their mind and the idea that people are criticizing them. And, it reminds me of like that scene on Friends when Phoebe is running and they're all like, why are you running like that? And she's running with her arms out. And it's like, but that's what makes her feel childlike. And I think a lot of it is that we lose our childlike wonder because we're so busy trying to worry about like, what are people going to say? And how are they going to identify me? And how are they going to criticize me? And so then we stick ourselves in our body so much that we end up not moving it as much because we're so afraid of criticism. So what would you tell somebody who's just starting off in your class? It's like, oh, this is awkward. This is a little weird. Like this doesn't, you know what I mean? They're starting to feel a little bit like, what are people going to say? What if I'm not doing it right? What do you tell those newcomers that are coming into your class?
Well, first, I would like to just really say that grief is conflicting emotions. So we actually have a breakup course coming out
Ooh.
to help you go through a breakup. I would agree with what you said about not sitting in an emotion, meaning like don't listen to the same sad song all over again, but you have to honor all of the emotions that come up, even the sadness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important. And we are addressing all of the emotions that come up in a breakup in our course. Second, I would let Lisa talk about the being in a box.
Yeah. So the first thing I will say is, the only way to get out of your head of this monkey brain or what are people thinking of me is to get into your body. And I come from like, that's where I spent a lot of my time.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I love dance so much is because I moved a lot when I was little. Like as soon as it got me on my feet, I was shaking my ass. I was shimmying my shoulders. I'm a Latina, so I'm very expressive. I love to move. I love to dance. So my mom was like, okay, you got a lot of energy. I need to put you in something so you can express that. So she put me in dance at 3-4 years old. And she put me in ballet. First choice. It didn't last long. I was like, she was like, you look like you have ants in your pants, like always shaking. And my dance teacher told me, you are moving too much. You are too much. So like at a young age, I was already put in the box. It was basically over from there. Shame. I did something bad. I can never move my body like that again. And this is why people get so caught up in their head and feel like they're in the box. Because somewhere along their journey, when they're a child, they are told they are too much. Don't do that. It makes them feel bad. So they are immediately imprinted with that story or that narrative. And that's why they're so resistant towards expressing themselves. Because when they're born so pure. And the reason why kids are constantly moving, even before they can form sentences, because that is the way their body communicates. They can't form words yet to express through their throat, so they express it by moving their body. They make weird noises like because they need to release that energy somehow. And then it stops because they're told they can't do that. That's the box.
So how do you help a new student, like realize it's okay to be you? It's okay to get out of the box. And this is a safe place for you to do it. Because I've been to many dance classes and I was like, hey, I really don't know how to do I could do it at the club, but I can't do it like, in a classroom type setting, because you do start to, and when you're in the club, you're drinking, so your inhibitions are probably lower. But when you're in like kind of a classroom, and especially when you're brand new, especially people who, like, for example, have never been to a yoga class, and they're brand new and they want to start. And it's intimidating when you're in that classroom and all these people are getting into these like pretzel like stuff. And you're like, wait a minute, I can't do that. My body can't do that right now at this moment. How do you get them to feel okay and to just allow themselves to release?
So,
well, we can talk about yoga and how we address that in yoga, but in our class, when we do have ceremonies, our class, the rooms are very dark. Very dark. I also dance non-stop, like no one's watching all of the time. So if anyone opens their eyes and sees me, they're going to and I hear it all the time where they're like, I love looking up and seeing you express yourself, so that they feel comfortable of expressing themselves. Also, we guide them minimally, but we also let them know it does not matter how they show up. And I think that actually, because of what we say and how Lisa guides and how the music envelops the room and creates a container to feel safe in, it allows people to drop in more so than probably when they're someplace else. We create such a safe place inside of our ceremonies when they're live with us. And then with our practices they can do at home, they can close the door and no one's watching. So they get to actually feel themselves in their own body by themselves. So that feels safe too.
Oh, I love that. So there's a way for them, if we're not in Colorado, to go to your actual class, for them to do it from home. You guys have a course online, or?
Yeah, we have a portal online where you can access 10-minute practices, 15-minute practices, 30-minute practices, and 60-minute practices, all ranging from just breath work to the whole rhythmic metamorphosis journey, 15-minute journeys that are more catered to specific emotions, anxiety, depression, stages of your life. And we also have a rhythmic flow, which combines yoga asana and rhythmic metamorphosis.
Oh, that's beautiful. So as we wrap up this episode, what would you like to say to the audience is your nuggets of wisdom that you've learned along your spiritual journey and your new practice that you've created, rhythmic metamorphosis?
You truly are the source of your own healing and transformation. All the answers, all the light that you may seek in life has always been within you. I think it just takes some time of peeling back the layers of external conditioning of the you can't or stop or you're too much, to get back into this space, your body, that's your safe space, and learning how to feel safe in it again.
Oh, beautifully said.
I don't have to add anything else except for be delusionally confident in yourself. And I think that is by being embodied and in your body. So I think that not only did we create something that allows you to get there, it also allows you to feel every part of your journey too.
Oh, yes. All right. How can my audience find you?
So you can find us on Instagram, it's RM Awakening. TikTok is Rhythmic Metamorphosis. YouTube is Rhythmic Metamorphosis. If you'd like to listen to our sound ceremonies, they're on SoundCloud as Rhythmic Metamorphosis, and our website, rhythmicmetamorphosis.com.
And on your websites where they can get the courses so that they can do it from home.
Yes,
Ah,
absolutely.
perfect. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you again for listening to Journey of a Fearless Female. I'm your host, Paola Rosser. If you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual mentor, you can book a free discovery call with me at www.fearlessfemale.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at fearlessfemale_coach, subscribe to my YouTube channel at fearlessfemale, or find me on TikTok. I'm under at paola.rosser. And if you love this episode, make sure you hit subscribe, share it with your friends, and leave a review. I read every single review, and I truly appreciate the time you spend writing it.